NTA International News.
President Buhari vows not to allow padding in the 2017 budget. Nigerians cry out against gender-based violence as the International Day on Elimination of Violence Against Women is commemorated. And Super Falcons aim to top Group B in the African Women's Cup of Nations. Hello there, thanks for joining us on NTA International News. I'm Joseph Johnson. We begin by telling you that President Muhammadu Buhari has vowed to ensure that under his watch, deceitful projects and figures are no longer injected into the nation's budgetary provisions as experienced in the 2016 budget. The president stated this while receiving in audience members on the Good Governance Support Group on a solidarity visit. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
President Muhammadu Buhari, who described the distortions that happened to the 2016 budget as embarrassing, told his guests that the 2017 budget is being awaited in the Federal Executive Council, and as he puts it, any sign of padding anywhere will be removed. His administration, he said, stands by its pre-election promises of securing the country, reviving the economy, and fighting corruption, but wondered why some people are deliberately turning blind eye to the nation's prevailing realities. He insists that with the present economic situation in the country, it cannot be business as usual. On the fight against corruption, President Buhari expressed the belief that the cleansing currently ongoing, especially in the nation's judiciary, will lead to better administration of justice, where the guilt in corruption allegations are appropriately made to pay for their sins. He used the forum to applaud the progress being made in agricultural development and the exploitation of solid minerals, saying this gives a lot of hope on food security and economic diversification drive. The president also spoke on the violence that attend rerun elections in the country, saying Nigerians should have passed the stage in which people are beheaded and killed because of who occupies certain offices, as witnessed in Kogi, Bayelsa, and River states. As he puts it, if we cannot guarantee decent elections, then we have no business being around. Ido election was good, and I expect Ondo to be better. Mr. Chukwuemeka Nwajuba, who spoke on behalf of the Good Governance Support Group, said the Buhari administration has succeeded to a large extent on the security and anti-corruption front, saying there are positive signs that the economy will soon experience a turnaround. Some members of the group spoke to newsmen.
We make observations on what is happening on security, the economy, corruptions, and all the topical issues in this country. He appreciated our inputs and he promises to take appropriate action where possible.
Mr. President said what he's doing is to do prudent management of the resources on hand and trying to plan on how to close up the infrastructure deficit. Like the Mambila project is targeted at 4,000 megawatts of electricity, which is higher than what we have presently. And it is also going to irrigate thousands of hectares of land for agricultural purposes. The East-West Road, for instance, had not been completed. In that loan package is $500 million to complete the East-West Road because it cuts across the nerve center of the Niger Delta region. Mr. President is concerned about the Niger Delta region. For him, the borrowing is not for himself. It is for the Nigerian people.
The Good Governance Support Group recommends what it calls a social rearmament of the poor and the lowly as the biggest constituency of the president. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
With the 2017 digital switchover on the horizon, the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, has challenged the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, to be at the forefront of new, better and focused broadcasting. The minister stated this at a retreat for the management of the authority. Dennis Adegunloye reports.
The minister said that under his watch, repositioning the NTA is top on his agenda, hence describing the retreat as an opportunity to self-critique and analyze. He said an important part of the process is the constructive exchanges, which will go a long way in taking the authority to the next level of service delivery.
My vision is that by the time, in the next 24 months, without, without any argument, we should be the #1 station in this country and by extension of the country.
An appropriate and right balance, Lai Mohammed says, should be achieved between being a government organization and appealing to the viewer.
How do we convince Nigerians that we are back, or we're on the way back to being #1? We must really let people know we are credible. We're not just, we're a government organization, we're not a government organ. Oh, we support government, of course, yes. But we also know that at the end of the day, our first obligation is also to Nigerians, to our viewers. It's the viewers that determine how good we are, not the government.
Director General of the NTA, Yakubu Ibn Mohammed, said since the NTA can be restored to its former glory, his tenure will ensure all hands will be on deck to achieve this objective.
This kind of event gives one a reason to be happy about how proactive and forward-looking our system is becoming, especially as we battle with obvious impediments bedeviling our practice. The actualization of this event for which we are here gathered is to a large extent a function of the leadership and direction of one man, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, the Honorable Minister of Information and Culture. I cannot thank him enough. I am confident that this wonderful opportunity presented us today will help us chart a new course of innovating action that will usher us into the digital era of broadcasting.
The retreat had as its theme positioning NTA for better performance. In Abuja, Dennis Adegunloye, NTA News.
To the legislature now, where Speaker House of Representatives Yakubu Dogara has emphasized the need to eliminate the barriers to access healthcare delivery through prepayment and subsequent pooling of funds in preference to direct out-of-pocket payment. This was in a message to a public hearing to avert a national health crisis through revitalization and funding of the system. National Assembly correspondent Ifeanyi Izumba reports.
The Speaker, represented by Minority Leader Leo Ogo, said the primary health care center is the first port of call for majority of Nigerians living in rural areas. Therefore, the country must come up with plans on how to raise funds to revitalize health centers.
We must find ways to reduce or eliminate the barrier to access health care delivery through prepayments and subsequent pooling of funds in preference to direct out-of-pocket payments.
Currently, there are 774 local government areas with 9,502 political wards in Nigeria. At least each of the LGA has one primary health center or more are not fully functional.
We believe that with 80% of our citizens living at the primary health care level, primary health not only cannot be ignored, but must be invested in to deliver the right care to our populace.
Minister of Health Isaac Adewale spoke on the need to restructure the already existing strategy.
In fact, members of the committee are so delighted this is taking place because we need to work together. But can federal government alone? The answer is no.
Added contributions from concerned persons from the health sector.
Looking at the primary health care, we look at everything concerned with primary health care in terms of the goals that we need to achieve.
It is the expectation of concerned persons of the hearing. The National Assembly work with the Ministry of Health and the Budget Office to make healthcare accessible, affordable, sustainable financial mechanisms from the National Assembly. Ifeanyi Izumba.
Thank you, Ifeanyi. We apologize for the poor audio quality in some parts of that report. Now, Nigeria joins the rest of the world to mark the International Day of Elimination of Violence Against Women, observed from November 25 to December 10 every year. What are the implications of violence against women, and how best can the society overcome the negative trend? Talatu Ezirike tells us more.
Violence against women is considered as an act of gender-based violence that causes physical or psychological harm or injury to women. Forms of violence against women include domestic violence, workplace sexual harassment, child marriage, female genital mutilation, rape, and war. Going by WHO, of women worldwide have experienced either physical or sexual violence, though developing countries are the worst hit. For instance, approximately 130 million girls and women have experienced female genital mutilation. In Nigeria, major concerns for many is the spillover effect of Boko Haram insurgency that makes women and girls vulnerable, and the increasing speed of domestic violence and rape that are on the increase.
The day is meant for special people like us, because I'm a victim of domestic violence. My daughter is a victim of child abuse by a steward in our house. And
however, there are interventions and legal framework like the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act, VAP, under which issues of rape attracts 12 to 20 years imprisonment without any option of fine.
The act at the moment is the only act that prohibits all forms of violence against persons, both in private and public life.
Violence is wrong, you understand? And the thing is that I think our court should begin to convict offenders under the VAP Act.
There are also much more, especially in closing economic gaps that portray poverty as the face of a woman.
There is this program that the Federal Ministry for Women Affairs, specifically for women, where women at all levels to access funds ranging from 10,000 up to 100,000 with no collateral, no.
There's also the Future Assured initiative of the wife of the president. Under it, she's been able to touch on the lives of the average Nigerian woman, especially the internally displaced persons.
For critics, a lot more needs to be done, especially in the areas of politics.
Politically, there's violence against women. Number one, if you look at the political party structure, they reserve just one position for us, women leader.
The stereotypes are gradually eroding, and even the young girls are going to fields that were originally thought to be men-only fields.
As the world focuses on violence against women, their attention in this part of the globe will be on their advancement to enable them compete well, thereby fulfilling the wishes of iconic women activists like late Gambo Swaba, Fumilaran Samkuti, and Margaret Epo, who fought for the rights of women. Talati Ezerike, NTA News.
Still talking about violence against women, the full adoption and implementation of Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act 2015 by all the states is needed to check incidences of gender-based violence. This was the submission of participants at a conference to commemorate this year's International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women, put together by the Federal Ministry of Justice in partnership with UN Women. Fatima Ali reports.
A videotape of a 3 or 4-year-old who was being raped by a 60-year-old man went viral on social media. The old man was arrested, detained, and later released on bail.
The platform seeks to examine this and other issues, the implementation of legislation, its enforcement, as well as compensation for victims of violence as enshrined in the VAP Act 2015. Statistics by the World Health Organization indicates that the rate of violence against women globally is alarming, while half of victims were killed by intimate partners or family members, Nigeria inclusive. Despite this gloomy picture, participants agree that Nigeria has made tremendous progress in the areas of gender equality and women empowerment.
The rate of child marriage declined. Progress is being made in the area of reproductive health, a reduction in maternal death.
Army has zero tolerance for violence against women and girls, especially sexual exploitation and abuse.
The theme of the conference is Impact of Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act and other legislation on the elimination of violence against women. In Abuja, Fatima Ali, NTA News.
Stay with us here on NTA International News. There will be more news after the break.
Change is here and it's going to stay. Change begins with you. Oh yeah, make we go. Go to so let the change begin from within. Look at you, oh Gerula. Change begins with you and me. Change begins with me. Change begins with me. Change begins with
NTA International News. Africa as it is.
Glad to have you back. The Federal Ministry of Information and Culture is to present 3 bills to the National Assembly in its efforts to reposition the creative industry for optimal performance through legislative and regulatory performance. Minister of Information and Culture Lai Mohammed stated this in Abuja when he granted audience to officials of the Copyright Society of Nigeria. Anthony Forson reports.
The minister said the 3 bills to be presented to the National Assembly will be for the National Endowment for Arts, the Motion Pictures Council of Nigeria, and that which will establish the Tourism Development Fund. He explained that the request for this legislation is to enable the creative industry grow for the artists to benefit from their hard work.
It's only in the creative industry that you can get a 27-year-old billionaire. You cannot have a billionaire at 27 in the industry, as an industry. What are you going to manufacture? How will it take you? And the beauty of creativity is one thing in which God has given every human being, every race equally. It is how you exploit it, how you protect it, how you preserve it. And I keep telling people every time, we have great stories to tell the world. In music, in the theater, in the arts, in the industry. But we must first change our perception from the highest level.
The minister, however, assured that his ministry, that of Justice, National Office of Technology Acquisition and Promotion, will collaborate with COSON to fine-tune the private copy levy for its implementation. President of COSON, Tony Okoroji, who showered encomium on the minister, described him as a quintessential public servant whose wealth of experience has been brought to bear. He, however, appealed to the minister for a regulatory framework that will utilize music to create wealth for the nation. In attendance at the meeting were the Directors General of the National Broadcasting Commission, Kawu Modibo, Nigerian Television Authority, Yakubu Ibn Mohammed, and Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, Mansour Liman. In Abuja, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
To security matters now, the attention of the Nigerian Air Force has been drawn to media report on the crash of one of the Augusta Westland 101 helicopters handed over recently by the presidency. A statement by the Director of Public Relations and Information, Nigeria Air Force, Ayodele Famuyiwa, says, contrary to the crash report, the mishap occurred last week on the tarmac at 33 Logistics Group, Makadi, while the helicopter was taxiing after a successful mission. The statement adds that NAV has since set up a 7-member board of officers headed by Air Vice Marshal Emmanuel Nabi to investigate the immediate and remote cause of the incident. The Federal Road Safety Corps, FRSC, and the African Development Partnership to ensure a safer road environment in the country. Corps Marshal Boboye Oyeyemi, in a meeting with the officials of the bank at the FRSC National Headquarters in Abuja, reaffirmed the Corps' determination to restore sanity on Nigeria's highways. Timothy Yusuf reports.
The challenges of road safety management and the effect of road traffic crashes on the socio-economic development of the African region has continued to generate concern, and stakeholders have been talking with the Federal Road Safety Corps on areas to assist the Corps, since road safety is the responsibility of all. This time it is the turn of the African Development Bank in Nigeria, The bank officials led by Nwela Aaron Katambula says the bank will demonstrate its concern for safety of lives and property of the people through its support to relevant institutions by engaging in road safety reforms on the African continent. Apart from giving consideration to some road corridors across Nigeria, the bank also promises to explore other areas of assisting the Corps to manage its roadside clinics established across the country. FRSC Corps Marshal Boboyo Yeyemi says through public enlightenment and enforcement programs, the Corps has been able to record high level of sanity on the country's highways.
And we have to key in also by looking at it to reverse the trend of crashes to a manageable size and to be among the 20 safest nations in the world. We believe the more we get support and the better we can be able to attain this.
He expressed FRSC's readiness to continue to embrace all hands of fellowship that will aid the Corps to fulfill its mandate. In Abuja, Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
For stories in the financial sector, here is Chuku Nonso Mwabweze as our guide.
Thanks for joining us on Business News. Following latest released by the National Bureau of Statistics that the nation in the foreign investments.
One thing that we have stuck to has been prioritization of our spendings and then allocation of resources to critical areas of the economy.
Meanwhile, equities market closed Friday on a negative note as the all-share index depreciated by minus 6.2% to close at 25,333.39 basis points. And reports from Kenya indicate a 7.4% increase in the country's coffee exports in 2015-2016 crop year. The country earned 18.8 billion shillings from coffee exports between October 2015 to September 2016. The earnings was, however, short of the government's 20 billion shillings target. That's it on Business News. I am Chuku Nonso Mwabweze.
And from business news to stories from other parts of the world with Basi Taikbang as our guide.
We begin this segment with Somalia's election, where massive cases of corruption and voters' intimidation have reportedly marred the ongoing parliamentary elections. Reports say candidates have been offering bribes of up to £1 million to secure votes. Indirect elections have been taking place since October as the country remains too unsafe for a national vote. Now turning to Europe, EU leaders say Britain cannot expect a better relationship with the EU than it currently has once it leaves the bloc. The incoming EU President Malta said it is really and truly their position, stressing that he doesn't see British she will by March. His president could open Europe if pushed into a corner by the EU. And finally, on this segment, more than 400 asylum seekers angered by being confined at the camp in the southern town in Bulgaria near the border with Turkey over a health care were arrested after clashes with police last Thursday. Friday morning, the refugee camp, the largest and home to some 3,000 asylum seekers, looked like a war zone with broken windows, overturned trash containers, and debris. Basi Taikbang, NTA News.
And now let's get to the latest in the world of sport. Super Falcons aim to top Group B with a win against Kenya Saturday in Cameroon. Kenem Abudike brings us up to speed on Sports Update.